This is the area where I get the most, I don't know, I guess the eeriest feelings. It's a long stretch, but it ends up at the spot I think they might be. So I just thought I would take you along. I'm really not going to say much. There's a couple things I may point out. And you can see the woods that I research in. Research is the wrong word. You can see the woods I observe. So I'm going to back up for a second. I don't know if you can see the arch down there. It's several trees kind of braided in and out, and once again I'll show you how thick it is. I'm hoping that's on camera because all I can see is my face, but the entire way down is just this bramble, and I haven't figured a way in, but I really want to go investigate that. But I'm going to do it on a day where I'm not limping like this. Oh well, I'm going to continue on. Slowly bring that around. That's a little different angle of it. Some broken trees. Are they twisted together? I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. That was a tree knock at almost 60 degrees here. But I think it's those trees knocking right up there. That was the sun in your eyes. Sorry. So. Those are actual gunshots in the background. I think that just has fallen. This is just a swampy area. No cedars down on this side of the river though. They're on the other side of the river. This right here is wind damage. I came out with an arborist yesterday and he told me all about that and just how that stuff happens. Wind damage affects the weakest link, the weakest point on a tree. This one probably had a vertical split from long ago, and the wind grabbed the top of it and broke it off. We're missing the top actually, but that branch broke the same way. It was a weak link. I'm going to stop for another second. These trails are really well maintained. People come through and clear out the trail, but they clear out the trails only. So as we look just off to the side of the trails, there's dead wood everywhere. So the fence posts, there's some more dead wood there, some up the hill there. The fence posts that I was talking about, with the tops just missing, doesn't fall into line with the rest of the woods. So if you saw that video, otherwise I'll put a link down below. But you can see right here, they clear it off the trail, but they don't truck it out. They do in the parking lot, just to make room for other cars. But maybe I can find one of those fence posts. We're not on the trail where they are. This right in front of me is, that's just an aged brake. That's from the weakest link, once again. Once again, the deadwood line. That looks like a cut. But this tree has been limbed. They do come in to make sure that things aren't going to fall down on the trail, which is nice. Especially if you're a hiker with a limp. There's going to be some glare from the sun. I can't get away from it this time of year. So this here is not a fence post, this is a rotted tree. One thing I don't know if I mentioned here, just dead wood along the side of the trail. All the fence posts, not all of them, the ones that were in the lines of the fence posts, were all broken, healthy trees. That he could find no signs of damage in the break, so it wasn't the weak point. And I'll, at some point, show you guys with a stick how he showed me, or what he showed me the difference was between an intentional break, as he called it, and a break from wind damage. That just dead ends down at the water. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to go this way. Oh wait, that might have been the trail. This is the one that goes back to the rest. I thought I was one turn ahead. Problem is it was brought down by another tree. So it's a combination probably between rotting tree and high winds. That tree is pretty darn big. It's about 18 inches in diameter. So on the word of an arborist from the International Society of Arborers, whatever it's called, that this is just snow load on those trees. And my pointing this out is not to discredit Bigfoot researchers, and it's not to even prove that there is no Bigfoot, because I've seen them. But it's just a nice view. Hold on. This is why I walk here. It's not to disprove his existence. It is to try and build a community of researchers who are just a little better versed in being able to prove that this thing exists. So, just a gorgeous area. Trees are wind damage and rot. Apparently there was a study done after a storm in Europe, and I want to say it was close. It was back in like 2009. But that storm took a lot of trees down, and they were able to determine that all trees break, or will break, under a 90 mile an hour sustained pressure, which is something like 40 meters a second or something like that, for those of you who aren't from around here. And it doesn't matter the thickness of the tree, it'll give at 90 miles per hour. And the guy gave me a list of reasons why, which trees will go first, and how wind gets through woods, so it'll be, I guess, the outer edges and the weakest that'll break first. But it's pretty interesting. So while I'm talking about this, even though it's just a beautiful day walking in the woods, I will say that the Arborist did, this is a good area to show you the wind damage on a normal forest. This one looks like it just came down recently. Step over things well. I'm going to put you on hold for just a minute, and I'll be back. So of course, I get to that point in my rambling monologue where I want to talk about the, someone else walking in the woods up there. But, oh, look at this right here. So what the arborist said on those fence posts was they were intentionally snapped, and that's what he called it. At a certain point where the tree would not normally have broken. And he gave me the example of breaking a stick. And he did one example, which I should be doing for you, but I'm just going to sit for a bit. But he did one example of the tree. Over here we got the sun reflecting on the water, which is beautiful. So he held a stick in his hands. The first time he did it with his hands far apart. And he explained that this would be wind damage. And he bent the stick until it broke. And at It snapped with kind of a long, jagged break. I'm looking around for a tree to show you, but I can't see any broken trees from here. How odd is that? In front of me, anyway, with the view. He pointed out where another branch would have been coming off of that stick, but it wasn't there. So there was a little knob in the wood, pointed that out as a weak point, and that was the main weakness when he put the stress. And he said that the reason he grabbed both ends like that was to simulate the wind, because I forget what he called it, but the top part of the tree with the leaves on it catches the wind, and it's like something is pushing on it. Basically it is, it's the wind, and the tree could break if the force is enough to break it, and that force varies depending on how strong the tree is. So it will break at its weakest point because of that force, and that was the way he simulated it, by holding both ends of the stick and breaking it. After looking at the fence posts that I showed him, he held the stick close together. His hands right next to each other. Did you just hear those? Something just ran behind me, something small. But anyway, he held his hands right next to each other, grabbed the stick, a different stick this time, the other one had already been broken, and he bent it. And it broke in, pretty close to a straight line right across. And he gave the example of that stick for what I'm calling fence post. There's another guy, I can't remember if it was the big guy or the tall ones, who had another name for them. I'll find that. I'll put a link to, I don't think he has videos. Anyway, I'll find it and tell you what it is. But there's a complete difference. And the arborist was very intrigued by the, I'm going to go back to this. I hope that sun isn't too much on it. It probably is. So I'll go to this side of the bench. But the arborist was very intrigued by the intentional breaks. They did not break like a windbreak. He said it was like something was holding up one side of the tree and pulling against it. But there was no bruising on the bark, which would suggest, tree falls hitting it or trees going both ways or those kind of things. It was what he called an unnatural break, or an intentional break, and he used both terms the other day during our discussion. So that's my woods. I might come back and if I find anything else. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the view. I hope you enjoyed the little walk, and I will talk to you next time.